The Stevens family is attending family therapy. The dad, Seth, is historically blamed for all of the family problems because of his issues related to alcoholism. All members of the family are struggling to view the family dynamic realistically and need greater support in understanding the dad's symptoms and relational context. Each family member equally contributes to the dysfunctional attitudes and behaviors observed and questioned by the therapist. The session in the textbook leaves off with the therapist offering suggestions to the family and trying to improve how the family reacts to the challenges. At the present session, Dad, Seth, and Mom, Mandy, are currently attending from different locations. A recent argument has led them seeking temporary separation. So to give context, I am playing the therapist.
I am playing Mandy the mom.
And I am playing Dad, who is Seth.
Okay. It's good to see everyone again. I'm glad we are all able to make it to another session.
Thank you. Scotty's sick with the flu. We thought he would be feeling better by now.
If we can't all be here, then what's the point of coming at all? I'm only here because Mandy dragged me here.
Each family member is important to the process, even if we can't all be here at the same time. Everyone, in one way or another, contributes to problems and successes. So today, we can just focus on the two of you and your roles within the family. I would like each of you to briefly explain your current roles in your family.
I think I'm the primary caregiver. I take care of most things around the house. It would be a disaster if I wasn't here. I feel like I'm the glue that keeps everyone together. I cook almost every single night, do most of the cleaning. I make sure Scotty's on keeping up with school, all while dealing with Seth while he's drunk.
You make it sound like I'm drunk all the time. I only drink a few beers after work. What's the big deal? You're always in my business and looking over my shoulder. You blame me for everything, and quite frankly, I'm tired of it.
The first thing you do when you get home from work is open a beer. Before you ask Scotty about school or about me, how my day was, or let the dog outside. Drinking is clearly your top priority, and the whole family would be much better off if you just stopped drinking. It would solve all of the problems. And quite frankly, I wouldn't have to babysit you.
Mandy, what would you like to see different from Seth?
First, I want to see Seth stop drinking altogether. I want him to control his temper and stop taking things out on me and Scotty.
I don't take my anger out on you. How in the world could you say that? Name one time that I did that.
Literally right now.
Okay, to prevent us from getting too overly emotional, I want to get back to Mandy's response. Mandy, you said you wanted to see Seth stop drinking altogether, but what do we understand about alcoholism and recovery?
Recovery is for alcoholics, and I'm not one. What does recovery have to do with anything?
You are so oblivious.
Mandy, what do you believe Seth's recovery should look like?
It means that he doesn't drink anymore. I don't know what else there is to it. His drinking is the biggest problem we face as a family.
Do we know of any alcoholics who have been able to stop drinking cold turkey?
Well, I don't know, but if he cared about us or loved us, he would do it. It's that simple.
Oh, so now I don't care about you. Here we go.
Can you both share with me what your relationship was like before Seth began drinking?
Well, we used to have fun, believe it or not. We would go out, have dinners, maybe have a drink or two, but nothing anymore. I used to have so much love for him, but now it's like I have to be his mom or his mate, and I just want to have fun again.
I feel like you don't know how to have fun anymore. You're always nagging. Even when I did something helpful, it wasn't good enough. We used to work together and make all of our decisions together. I honestly have not felt supported by you in a long time. Have you ever thought about how I feel?
Maybe I've been trying too hard to support our family, and it's come across a bit negatively.
I mean, it's obvious that you both care about the family. This is a good opportunity to recognize how you both have the same underlying purpose of regaining a lost connection. So, what goals do you both have in mind for your family?
Um, to get along and to be happy.
But what would being happy look like?
Not arguing, supporting each other, spending time together, and just having fun.
I would I would think that it looks like doing things as a family. You know, doing things we all find fun. It feels like it's been forever since the three of us did anything together. We all just sit in separate rooms of the house and keep to ourselves. I miss being a family.
Well, it sounds like we share a few common goals. So, spending time together and finding fun activities. So, how do we think we can incorporate that more into the family?
Maybe maybe we could start with cooking dinner as a family one night next week. I mean, I could make lasagna. That's a family favorite.
It's important to start small. If we try to make big changes too quickly, we are going to stumble over the small details that are equally as important. When each member can focus on both the small and the big things, we contribute to the overall experience of the family.
I want to believe that all of this is possible, but I'm not convinced. Mandy blames me for everything, but I can't be the only one who has things to fix. Like I said, I don't feel supported by her.
Well, I've seen what our family's capable of, but this just feels really out of reach now.
Sometimes when we have challenges in our family, it can feel like our problems don't have solutions. And the truth is that there is no easy solution. What has your family tried in the past to address some of the challenges in your family?
Well, we tried couples therapy, but we still couldn't agree on anything. Seth was still drinking, maybe not as much at the time, but I don't think that couples therapy really helped us. And it didn't help the whole family. It may have actually helped our marriage for a few weeks, but nothing long term.
I hated couples therapy. I just felt like everything was made to be my fault. I always left those sessions feeling like shit about myself. It just made me want to go home and drink it even more.
I just don't understand. We stopped going to couples therapy because Seth didn't want to keep going. And I just couldn't go by myself. I'm afraid the same thing's going to happen here.
I stopped going because I felt like shit.
I don't think you were actually trying to solve our problems. I felt like I was the only one trying, and I still feel like that.
Okay, what was not working for you in couples therapy?
We couldn't find any common ground. All we did was argue back and forth for an hour and then go home. We could never figure anything out.
Because all she did was blame me. Everything that was wrong ended up back on me somehow. She was never put on spot about anything. It always came back to me. The same thing is happening right now.
What do you both think needs to change?
I need her to listen to me and know that I am trying. I want a better life for my family. I don't want us to keep fighting.
We fight all of the time. We just don't even see eye to eye anymore.
It sounds like we need to begin changing the family's perception about what we understand of alcoholism. Alcoholism is a disease, not a personal deficit. Seth's drinking behavior is not because he is failing as a husband or a father. Like many other people, it's a stress response. So if we treat alcoholism the same way we treat depression, we don't ask depressed individuals to stop being sad. In the same way, we should not expect Seth to stop drinking in one day.
I guess I never thought of it like that.
It sure as hell really does feel like a disease. I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like I can't control it.
Is there any family history of alcoholism?
My dad used to drink. When I was a kid, I didn't realize how much he actually drank, but as I've gotten older, I've started to see it. I think my grandpa used to drink too, but I'm not sure about that. I just remember there used to be a bunch of beer cans in his fridge when I was a kid. I don't even remember my grandparents fighting, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. My parents definitely fought though, a lot like me and Mandy do.
His parents do fight a lot. We try to keep Scotty away from all of that as much as possible, but it's hard when it's happening in your own home.
Have either of you ever considered making a family genome?
I'm not sure I know what that is.
Basically a family tree or something like that.
A family genome is a visual representation of a person's family relationships and their medical history. So it is like a family tree, but it gives a little more specific information. A family genome might better help you both understand the drinking behaviors in the family.
Seth does drink like his father, but that's probably where he learned it from.
That's bullshit. I haven't lived with my parents in over 20 years.
Remember that we need to look at alcoholism in the same light as any other disease. So just because our parents have a specific behavior does not mean we ourselves will show that same behavior, but there is a strong correlation.
I don't know if I want to know about all that.
We can at least give it a try.
You do not have to finish the family genome if at any point in time it becomes too uncomfortable. Mandy, you mentioned earlier that Seth had not always drank this much. So what do you think has changed?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think it was the stress from his job. Plus, I've been working more, so we've had even less time. Scotty's behavior has gotten a little worse too, because I think we weren't able to give him the attention that he deserved.
Seth, what do you believe has changed?
I do think a lot of it has to do with my work. My boss has been running my ass all day. We have lost a few people recently, and now I feel like I've had to take over all of their work too. But I can't do it all in one day. I'm expected to, though. So when I come home, I'm just irritated and tired, and I don't have the energy to talk to anyone. I just want to chill out and go to bed, and my beers take the edge off. But when I get home, I have to help clean the house, get dinner ready. Sometimes I have to run to the bank before it closes. There's just not enough time in the day for me to do anything. Then I fight with Mandy over it because I'm just anxious about all the shit that I have to do. Then I feel depressed because I'm not happy with my life. So I open a beer, like a cycle.
He used to love his job, but ever since his work duties have basically tripled, he doesn't have a life of his own anymore.
If I'm hearing you both correctly, it sounds like Seth has taken on more than he can handle at work. So, Seth, how did you end up with these new work responsibilities?
Well, I guess my boss just basically came up to me and said that they needed someone to take over all those positions. And then he dropped the workload into my arms.
Have you communicated with your boss that you're unable to do the work of multiple people?
No, I haven't. I don't want him to think that I can't do my job. I have had a really good work performance and I don't want that to change.
Well, I've told him that he needs to talk to his boss, but he's so damn stubborn, he just tells me he can handle it when clearly he can't.
You've never met my boss, Mandy. You have no idea what he's like.
Seth, I want you to treat me as if I'm your boss. What would you say to me if you could?
I would tell you that you have unrealistic expectations of me. I'm only one fucking person. I need to be able to take care of my workload, not two other people's. Maybe they should consider hiring new people to fill those positions or something. But they can't just put all of this work on me. It's not fair.
I think those are valid things to say to your boss, but slightly more professionally, of course. But if you come from a space of concern and curiosity, it will not come across negatively to your boss. You could say something like, "Hey boss, I feel like I have too much on my workload. I understand we are short-staffed, but have we been looking to hire new employees? I want to make sure I'm taking care of my job first and foremost, but I feel as though I'm unable to do that right now. Is there anything I can do to help us get back to functioning efficiently?"
That sounds a lot better than what Seth has been saying for a while now.
I'll have to think on it. I just don't want to say the wrong thing.
Take your time. This should be an intentional and careful conversation with your boss. There needs to be some type of boundaries set for you, Seth. This is clearly a significant stressor for you.
Yeah, it is. It's all I can think about, how much work I have to do all the time.
Communicating goes a long way, and boundaries can't be set without communicating what those boundaries need to be and look like for us. We are the experts of our own experience and oftentimes know when boundaries need to be set. It's just a matter of having enough courage to actually communicate that.
Yeah, I know it needs to change. I know I can't keep going like this. I'm living in my own personal hell.
I do want to step back for one moment and talk about Scotty. Scotty has been pretty distant in our previous sessions. How does he behave at home?
He's pretty much the same. I mean, he doesn't talk to us much. When he does, it's really short. He acts as if he doesn't even like us.
Well, we do fight a lot, Mandy. I'm sure he doesn't want to get in the middle of all that. I remember being the same way with my parents. I'd rather just not hear any of it.
Experiencing parents fighting can be emotionally challenging for children. Oftentimes, they do become more isolated. When you are arguing, where is it typically happening?
It usually just happens, right in our living room or in the kitchen because it's over small stuff like, the laundry or the dishes not being done. And I get upset with Seth over, not, he's too drunk to help me.
I just mind my own business and then she starts yelling at me. Like I said earlier, she's always, always, always watching over my shoulder, bothering me about why I'm not doing this or doing that.
Do we agree that there are ways to discuss these things other than resorting to strong emotions like anger and yelling?
Well, yeah, I know. I swear he doesn't even listen to me.
I would listen to you if you didn't fucking yell at me.
Okay, I'm noticing a cycle here. Mandy, you need help with the household chores. You notice Seth has been drinking, so that upsets you. In response, you emotionally respond. Seth, you come home from work and notice the house needs help. This stresses you out, so you decide to drink. Mandy is responding emotionally towards you, and so you continue to drink. In this time, we have made backward progress. How do you both think we can change this cycle?
I guess I could ask, more kindly the first time. I could give him more specific directions about, what I need help with.
Like I said, I would be more willing to help you if you weren't yelling at me all the time.
I think there's something that should be happening before all of this. Instead of immediately addressing the things that need to be done in the house, there needs to be a debriefing period as soon as you are both home together. This means asking each other about your day and talking about the good things that have happened. Asking each other what you can all make together for dinner. Telling each other one thing you're grateful for about the other person. There needs to be positive conversations happening. Then we can kindly tell each other where we need support, not demanding each other to do something. If we come home ready to point out each other's flaws and what we're not doing well enough, we will never be able to resolve conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. We pretty much fight as soon as we get home. I guess we've just kind of gotten used to that. Feel terrible now for Scotty.
Well, there are several ways that we can try incorporating Scotty back into things, but I don't think it's a good idea to ask him to do anything out of his comfort zone. When he's here, he seems pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, Mandy basically has to drag him here.
Well, I mean, he doesn't see the point in coming. He says we act different here than we do at home.
With all family therapy, there needs to be changes at home first.
What kind of changes are we talking about? I can't just stop drinking altogether in a week or even 2 weeks.
Well, you picked up drinking in a week.
Okay, there's first order and second order change. It's necessary to address a person's symptoms before a person's behavioral patterns can change. Think of it like having the flu. We take medicine to control our symptoms so that our bodies can better fight off the virus. In the case of your family, there are symptoms each family member can address. Do either of you know what those symptoms might be?
If I'm supposed to look at my drinking like the flu, my symptoms would be my drinking. I guess I could start going to AA or some other support group. I know my dad used to go to AA and that actually helped him a lot. I'm not sure what the pattern is that you're talking about though.
I think AA is a very great resource.
Is the pattern like our poor communication and Seth's drinking?
Absolutely. Mandy, what do you think your symptoms are?
I think my symptoms are getting angry and taking it out on Seth.
And what do we think is the case for Scotty?
He isolates, he's distant, he's unwilling to talk to us. It makes more sense now that, I understand the pattern of what's going on in the family, but Seth gets home from work and is stressed out, so he drinks. I get mad at him. We can't communicate about anything. So I get emotional and he drinks even more. Scotty isolates himself further and further, which just fuels my anger and Seth's drinking.
It sure is a pattern. I could have told you that. I feel like I'm the most self aware person in the house.
It's great that we can all be aware of this pattern, even if it took us some time to get there. what do you think we can do about Scotty's isolation? It's important to recognize that his isolation is likely both an emotional and physical response.
Well, we've tried to get him to watch movies with us or go to dinner with us, but he doesn't care enough. I mean, who wants to go to dinner or watch a movie with a mom with a bad temper and a drunk dad?
Is there anything he does care about?
He really likes hockey. He used to play all the time when he was younger, and he still plays it sometimes with his friends.
Is it possible that you could all go to a hockey game together?
Yeah, I think we could do that.
It'll be hard for me. I mean, people like to drink at hockey games, but I do want Scotty to know that we still care about him.
It will be difficult for everyone. You will all feel a little uncomfortable at first, but keep in mind why you're doing it in the first place, to heal your family.
But what do we do after hockey season is over?
Well, at that point, Scotty will be involved in the family again enough that there will be other opportunities to spend time together. But we should only focus on what's at hand instead of thinking too far into the future. What do we hope to happen by going to hockey games with Scotty?
Well, I hope Scotty can see that we are able to change and that we do care about this family.
I just want Scotty to know that I don't want to be like this. I don't want him to take after me like I did with my dad. I want to break the cycle.
And those are great reasons to want change. And fortunately, we all know that 1, what needs to change, 2, why it needs to change, and 3, how we're going to change it. So Seth, can you remind me what those changes are for you and how you're going to do them?
I'm going to try going to AA, work on having more positive conversations with both Mandy and Scotty, and spend more time with Scotty. And I guess think more about what I want to say to my boss. I've also been thinking more about the family genome. It would require me to talk with my parents and about their drinking habits and my grandparents and their drinking habits. I'm not sure I'm ready to have that conversation yet though.
Like I mentioned earlier, everything happens at a pace that we are all comfortable with. So if you're not ready to make a family genome, we can simply talk about those details together in person instead.
I would be more comfortable with that at first.
And that's a respectable decision to make. So Mandy, what changes are you going to make moving forward?
For me, I need to be more understanding of Seth's situation. Instead of, yelling at him about something that needs to be done around the house, I should ask him for like specific support. Like he said, spending more time with Scotty.
So we have made really great progress today. Seth, I want to remind you to take things at a pace that you're comfortable with. The conversation with your boss should be careful and thought out. So only when you feel confident. All of these things that we've talked about are great changes, but keep in mind we need to first focus on what we can change inside our homes. So how are we all feeling right now?
I'm feeling better. I have more hope now that we can figure this out.
I'm anxious, honestly, but I think I have a better idea on how to handle my shit. I just think it's going to be hard.
And it will be hard at first, but remember you have an entire family surrounding you for support. And at the end of the day, you all want the same thing for each other. So we've almost reached the end of our time, but even in the short time of this session, you have both had growth. You were both arguing when you first came in here, and now you're both more grounded.
Thank you for another session today. We're going to try to get Scotty to come with us the next time if he's feeling better.
You should be feeling better in another week. Hopefully, one of us doesn't catch what he has.
Well, I hope to see everyone next week, and I look forward to hearing about the progress everyone has made.
Thank you. See you next week.